Hi guys, it's Chris Robshaw and this is the final whistle.
Hello and welcome back to Rugby Connection presents The Final Whistle. Well, since season 3 now, and what a way to start. You think of this jersey and you think of one man, 300 appearances, Challenge Cup winner, Premiership champion, 2-time Premiership Player of the Year, 66 caps for England, 43 of them as captain, which is the most in the professional era for English rugby. It's Chris Robshaw. Chris, thank you so much for coming on. How are you getting on?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Thanks for having me on. I've been back in England now probably about 7 weeks. So we've just kind of been getting ourselves settled. We're getting a kid in nursery, all that kind of stuff, trying to get back up to speed. But we feel like we finally got there now, which is a good place to be.
Good. Finally feel back home again.
Yeah, definitely. I actually popped to the stoop to, we had one of the San Diego Legion owners over here. They wanted to have a look at the stoop. So Laurie kindly gave me and them a tour of the place. So it was good to go back, show them the bar, and just show them the great stadium it is.
Yeah, I've personally never been to the stoop yet,
Oh, wow.
but it's definitely on the bucket list. And you never say never. Hopefully one day.
Oh, one day soon, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, fingers crossed. Hopefully in this season we've got guests, we've got hosts from all over the country. So, and our good friend Harv, who is a host, is a big Quins fan, so he's jumping at this opportunity for this one.
Yeah, no, definitely.
First question that we ask all our guests: what actually got you into rugby in the first place?
What got me into rugby? I was very sporty as a kid. I was extremely dyslexic, so kind of the classroom wasn't really my friend, and sport was that. I played all sports. As I got a bit older, a bit bigger, rugby was probably better suited to me. Maybe not quite as skillful for the footballs and the golfs and all that kind of stuff. But no, I loved it. All my friends played it as well, which I think always helps. And then, yeah, I got better and better at it, gained confidence. Went through the school system, managed to get picked up by Quins when I was 17-ish. And yeah, I've loved it ever since.
Yeah, that's fair. I did like the fact that you mentioned the dyslexia there, because I too am dyslexic. So seeing someone like yourself playing rugby, a sport that we love, almost like an inspiration that, oh, I could do that too. Because like you said, school wasn't really for me as well, and it was more sport.
Yeah, and it's important that there are people out there, and there are so many people in, whether it be creative industries, sporting industries, or even the academic world. It just makes you think of things differently and approach things differently, and it gives you different strengths. Of course, there are still challenges which challenge me, whether that be kind of writing in public or on the whiteboard in front of the team and all that kind of stuff. That was always something which was playing in my mind, because you don't want to spell something wrong. But then there are other strengths that you learn how to communicate with people better, or understand people, or get messages across. So look, I think it's one of those things where I think at the time, and especially as a kid, things are tough. And it's about sticking with things. And I'm so grateful for my parents, my teachers who worked me hard in those extra kind of break times after school, all that kind of stuff, because the benefits would be huge. And without them, I wouldn't have got to where I am.
Yeah, of course, and I couldn't agree more. I mean, I did have teachers. So you'd be the same. You had teachers that couldn't care, but you had ones that really cared and try it this way, see how that works, sort of thing. And yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I'm glad you said about writing on a whiteboard, because don't let me do it. I don't want to do it.
Exactly, yeah, it's a horrible thing.
I'll be the one in the group that will hold up the poster that we've all done. I'll hold that up.
Explain it.
Yeah, I'll just point to the pictures and nod with the group leader, and yeah, just that works for me. Obviously, you did mention San Diego Legion there. What led you to San Diego? I know about the whole why you went to the MLR, because you didn't have to learn a new language, so it was very easy that way. But why San Diego?
I think more the experience. For me personally, the ocean's always been a massive escape and a massive relief. And I remember we would have England camps in Brighton, and I would, in kind of January, November, these type of times. So obviously it's pretty cold and bleak down there. And after training, I'd go in the sea. I'd go in, and the S&C coach would make me drag all the other players, so they weren't particularly happy down there, just because mentally there's something incredible about the ocean. And I think to be over there where you're living round the corner from the beach, a couple of times a week you're down there just for half an hour, just mentally. A lot of the time I'd go down on my own, have a swim, recharge. Sometimes the family would go, sometimes I'd go with my teammates. But for me, it was also important to have alone time down there and just have a quick dip. I wouldn't have to be in there for long, but it just mentally switched me off. And for me, to leave London and a place called home, I wanted something completely different. Didn't want to go to another city because, in all honesty, are there many cities as good as London? And there probably aren't worldwide. There are different cities for sure. So for me, it was going somewhere completely different from home, and San Diego was that.
That's fair enough, and I'm happy that, because you do hear some people that they knew somebody that played for that club, so that enticed them, or they just really like going on holiday there, sort of thing. But no, and I like the fact that you used it as a mental escape as well, and it was totally different to London. I would say Edinburgh's a nice city though. If you're asking, but
Edinburgh, don't get me wrong, Edinburgh is a nice city. It's a small city, but it's a nice city.
That's fair. Well, I've got some fan questions coming in. There was some ones that I just avoided because I'm like, no, it's not the kind of show. You got some people trying their luck. I'll tell you when we stop recording. But yeah, Colin Searle asked, what other Premier League club tried to entice you to play? Like, if you could have stepped away from Quins, who would you have played for? And I'll follow that up with, is there any clubs or leagues that you'd still like to play in?
I mean, you look at where your friends are. Actually, before I was at Harlequins, I actually spoke with Gloucester. They came down to the school I was at and spoke to, because my school was in the southwest of England. They spoke to a very good friend, and a very good friend of mine ended up going there. A guy called Ollie Morgan went on and played for Gloucester, played for England, unfortunately got injured. And nothing actually developed. And then a little bit later on down the same year, Harlequins approached, luckily, and yeah, and then the rest is history, really.
I would say you made the right decision. I think a lot of people would say that.
I agree as well. I mean, like I said, Quins is my home side. I've always kind of been Surrey-based, Southwest London, and Quins is that local team. I had a Quins top as a kid. But yeah, so that was the only one which realistically could have potentially happened, and who knows where it would have been now. It would have been a very different journey for sure.
I'm trying to picture you in a cherry and white jersey, and I can't. It doesn't sit. No, you need the 4 colours.
Yeah, 2's not enough.
2's not enough, exactly. Is there any teams or any leagues that you would still potentially like to play for?
I think you look at some of the big French sides. You look at the Toulouses, the Stades, these type of clubs which have so much history. And when you go to these French towns in particular, you see the kind of, even if they're very small towns, you go to like Clermont or someone like that, which you walk around, there's not a lot. But as soon as match day happens, it's almost like the whole town shuts down and everyone goes to the ground. And I think for me, it was always a lot about atmospheres, a lot about environments, which is what excites you. Is it necessarily the actual playing of rugby, or is it kind of the spectacle of it that gives you that buzz, gives you that excitement? Because running out in front of 10 to 20,000 is incredible, and that buzz is hard to replicate. So yeah, you look at some of that, but also you look at the history of a lot of those sides, like I said, at Toulouse, and the amount they've won a European Cup and the leagues and all that kind of stuff. And I remember we played Stade Francais years and years ago, actually, my first European game, and we managed to swap tops after the game. And we were all trying their tops on. It was at a time where they had the very funky shirts and patterns everywhere. And you were kind of thinking, oh, how do I look at this? But no, nothing seriously ever crossed or got me close to leaving, really. I always wanted to win with Quins, and it was never something I looked into until the end.
That's fair, and I do agree with you again about does this top suit me? I collect rugby jerseys, and everyone I get, the first thing I do is this my team? Is this what I should be wearing more commonly? So no, that's fair. And I could see you more in a pink top for Stade Francais than the previous cherry and white, as we mentioned.
Yeah.
Colin did try and get another question in, and I thought it was funny, so we're just going to mention it. Is there any food-based products you would have liked to endorse because you used to get like Nick Easter eggs? So what would Chris Robshaw be endorsing?
What would I endorse? I've got a massive sweet tooth. So any like pick and mix, any kind of dessert is my vice. Especially I used to, when I was a bit younger, go to the cinema just to get pick and mix. And not necessarily wanting to watch a film. It was kind of a second thing that. So probably, yeah, pick and mix sweets. But yeah, I've definitely had to dial that down in my playing days and try and control that a bit.
Yeah, I get that. But I mean, pick and mix is all vibrant colours, like a Harlequins top, so it makes sense. I like that. I rate that. Sticking with the fan questions, Ian Lockyer has asked, what is the worst away ground for food?
Worst away ground for food. The best is generally when you go to France or Italy and you get an incredible spread. Bath's very good. Bath has good food. The worst ground. I don't know. To be honest, they're all quite generic. They're generally like a roast.
Yeah.
I mean, we got a lot better because all of a sudden we started giving out apple crumble after, and that was a big change. But generally, a lot of the foods are kind of like a roast. If you're lucky, there's some sort of burger or barbecue options. We used to play Saracens, and I think when Nigel Ray, this was years ago when they played at Watford, and I think Nigel Ray was heavily involved in Dominoes, and you'd always get Dominoes in the change room after. Which
Can't complain there. Nice and easy.
Yeah, exactly that. So that was pretty good.
Fair enough. Alexis Skiffin has asked, and it's kind of similar again, what's your favourite and worst away ground to play and why?
I was never a massive fan of the 4G pictures. I wasn't really a fan of them. There were some which were better than others. Favourite away ground. I always enjoyed going to Franklin's Garden, Northampton.
Okay.
I always thought it was an incredible stadium. They always had a great turnout, good support there. Always a tough place to go and play. That was a good place to go. The worst, again, it's about atmospheres. You would sometimes go to Sale and there wouldn't be many people there. But I don't know. Like they've all got kind of it. A lot of it actually depends on the time of year you go. You go somewhere, you go to like Bath. You go to Bath at the beginning of the season, at the end of the season, and it's a great trip, great place to go and play. You go to Bath December, January, and it's probably the worst ground around because it's boggy, it's wet. You then come into the change room after, and you can barely move without bumping into each other. So I think a lot of it will vary on, and also it depends if you win. If you win,
of course, yeah, of course. What about internationally for you? What's your favourite away ground?
Favourite away ground? There's a couple. Ellis Park. Ellis Park was always an incredible place, just the history of it. But also, it was horrible as well because you're always at altitude. So that would affect you massively. I always liked Paris, the Stade de France. I always like that. I always found it incredibly noisy. The French fans were always very good. We had some great games there. And I remember watching that ground a lot as a kid, and the steps were very iconic when I used to watch games there. And I think when you watch a lot of that stuff as a kid, when you're actually there, and look, I had some great moments there. First time I played in a big stadium, or one of the first times playing in a big stadium, Bar Twickenham was there. We had some good wins there. Won a Grand Slam there. So yeah, there's some good history for me in that stadium.
Yeah, and I like the little subtle brag there that you've won a Grand Slam. At the bar, at the stoop, where your name is above it, do you get free drinks?
No, I don't. I don't, unfortunately. Yeah, I wish I did, but no, unfortunately, it's. I haven't actually tried though. The only time I've been there, I did have a free drink, so, but that was opening it, so I don't know if that will continue. I'll have to go back and speak to Laurie in the club and see what deal can be done.
No, don't you shouldn't even have to ask. Just go up and hello.
Yeah. We'll
See
give
if
it
it
a
works. If it doesn't, then you could speak to the higher ups and see what they could achieve.
Fair enough.
Right, we know you played back row. Now, what's your favourite side? Do you prefer blindside or open side?
You know, I don't actually mind. People always say you must prefer 6 or 7, and you know, I didn't. I just wanted to play, and as long as I was playing, starting, I'd be happy. Yes, there were certain tricks and traits you had to do differently and stuff like that, but for me, I played a very similar game. Run lines varied, bits and bobs like that, but no, as long as I was on the pitch, I was happy.
No, yeah, that's fair enough. For me, I personally would always associate you with the number 7 jersey, but that's just through like muscle memory. It's just because the next question is, what is your dream back row partners, past or present? You don't have to have played with them, but you've got Chris Robshaw and another person on the flank, and your number 8. Both you get 2 picks for past and present.
You know what? I'd say Nick Easter was the best 8 I ever played with. He was incredible. It's his ability, and I played a lot with him, of course, at Quins in England, and it was his ability to go forward time and time again. I think he made meters. He was incredibly skillful. Richard McCaw, of course, a player I grew up kind of watching, wanted to emulate. He was fantastic. I mean, I think he won everything there is to win numerous times. And then I think there's another one, a huge amount of respect. I think he's the best 8 in world rugby at the moment, Dwayne Demulin.
Oh,
phenomenal player, phenomenal athlete to play against, a player that can do it all.
Yes.
I mean, look, I've got a huge list. You look at the Dussetoirs, the Warburtons. I mean, I might even put myself on the bench this time and kind of watch them all.
You could do that if you want. Yeah, you could put you'd be the first ever benched player if you want.
But yeah, there were a huge amount like that. There, Dussetoir was one. I had some good battles with Warburton again. Had some good battles over the years, both, and a lot of them, while the kind of Southern Hemisphere, you tend to battle for the club as well, which is a different dynamic, but also it's as important to you to try and get one over on each other and stuff like that. So, no, there's been a fair few.
That's fair. Any from the present day you would have liked to pair up with?
Well, for Mullen, I look at the Irish back row a lot actually, and I think they're phenomenal. Their ability to go forward, they're skillful, and you look at what they're doing for Irish rugby. I would say they're probably the big ones that I would look to at the moment and think, yeah, they're solid players. The English guys, I played with them all, and again, so I've done that. They're all good players. And I think they're just going to get better and better, a lot of them. What else are we looking? But no, I think the Irish ones at the moment are the ones to beat.
That's fair. I have got 2 past ones for you that I would pitch and 2 present, just to see how that would, because it would be deadly across the back row. So for past, we'll put you on open side for this one with Thierry Dussetoir, and we'll put Dwayne Vermaelen at number 8.
Okay.
Because you said Dwayne for past and present. And for the present, we'll put you on blindside, and you can pick between Josh van der Fleer or Hamish Watson with Dwayne Vermaelen.
I think I'll go Josh.
No, that's fair though. That is a good choice.
I mean, you can't please everyone, can you?
No, you can't. That's a big difficulty. How do you find that you just have to accept not pleasing everybody, or?
Yeah, I think you do whenever you do stuff like this. I mean, playing against Hamish Watson, he's like a cannonball. Trying to tackle him, or pinball. Sorry, he just bounces around. You look at him and everyone says, "Oh, he's not that big, this guy, whatever." And maybe he's not, but he breaks tackle after tackle. He's powerful. He's explosive. And yeah, he's a proper handful.
Yeah, I have
he's a
seen.
serious player.
I've seen that up close, yeah. But no, Josh is a great player as well. And like I said, the way you all play, you'd almost all complement each other in that back row. So would have been nice to see, even just for a charity match.
Yeah, maybe one day, maybe vet rugby.
Maybe, who knows? I don't know how you could organise that, but yeah, we'll look into it. Do you have any advice for like any youngsters playing in the back row or just want to get into rugby?
I think, look, continue to work on all skills. I think especially as young players, you don't necessarily where you're going to end up in terms of what position, and also learn stuff from other sports. For myself, playing a lot of other sports definitely gave me advantages on the field. And you look at a lot of players who have done well. A lot of them don't just necessarily just play rugby. I think you need to be more rounded. It's a way of understanding sport. It's a way of understanding lines or different skills. So I think play as much as possible, especially at a young age. And of course, when you get a bit older, you probably have to specialise a bit. But try and benefit from playing from as many sports as possible.
Yeah, well said. What sport did you benefit from most of all?
So I played a lot of football, played a lot of hockey as a kid. So they were probably my kind of big two I'd play. And with hockey, you're kind of quite low center of gravity, all that kind of stuff. You're very kind of core centered. So when you kind of translate into rugby, of course, it's about being balanced when you're running with the ball and all this kind of stuff. I know a lot of guys who have played basketball, and of course, it's having that kind of that ability to control the ball and manipulate the ball. And a lot of people play football, obviously, who probably tend to end up in the back line. It's their ability to kick a ball, be skillful. Danny Kerr was one he had. He was in the academy up north, Sheffield, one of the Sheffields, I think. And his ability and his skill on the ball is phenomenal. And a lot of that will be due to the work he put on as a youngster in those football academies.
That's interesting. I've never actually really thought of that, because usually you just kind of, I know I'm quite bad for just focusing down on one sport. I couldn't have like 6 or 7 different things going on. I always had to kind of focus on one, but no, I like that. And basketball, yeah, because you could jump for it, and yeah, it makes perfect sense. What's the big fascination with rugby and golf? I don't understand the pair up there.
The golf, no, I think most guys and most athletes tend to be quite sporty, and you're not normally allowed to play other sports because you get tired, you get things. I think a big thing for me with golf is it's a good time to socialise. It's a good time to talk, where people put their phones down and actually go out there for a good couple of hours and chat. Whereas I think there are always a lot of distractions, and when you're playing a lot, you're probably a little bit sore or stuff like that. So when I actually played, I probably didn't play as much as I did when I was younger or when I was older, or I am now. Just because you're focused on it, your shoulders sore, your back sore, all this kind of stuff. But there are a lot of guys who are very good. Nick Evans is very good. Danny's pretty good. Nick Easter was very good. Hit it a long way, as you could probably imagine. So yeah, it was good fun.
Oh, yeah, that's fair. And I like the fact that you said you put the phones away, because there is nothing worse than, I know we're talking like through technology now, and if I could travel down and do a face-to-face, that'd be great, but times are hard. But there is nothing worse than having a conversation with someone and they're sitting, I'm like, what did I just say? What?
Exactly. Look, I'm probably as bad for it for anyone, but it is a problem at the time, and we're addicted to, I don't know, social media and everything else and all that kind of stuff, and because everything's instant. So yeah, for me, it's an important time.
It is, absolutely. How did you deal with your final season at Quins during the pandemic? Because, like I said in the introduction, you are a legend. You look at a Harlequins shirt, you think of Chris Robshaw. I still think you deserved a full sellout to say goodbye to you.
Yeah, I actually went back and had that, which was great. Of course, it wasn't wasn't the same, but it was still nice to go and do and speak to the crowd. Yeah, it was tough that year, from player contract negotiations to wage cuts to all that kind of stuff. There was to meetings over Zoom to training in little squares on the floor by yourself. I remember one of the first training sessions we actually did as a squad, because a lot of times we were training in small groups and that was your group. So if your group got ill, you're all off kind of thing. And the first time we came in, and we effectively came in for a huddle, but you couldn't be within 2 meters of each other when you're talking. So it literally took over the whole pitch, or the whole half of the pitch. I remember talking and we pretty much shouted, because you weren't like obviously arms in arms, but you were completely spread across. So, but look, it was a different time, and it was a time we all had to adapt to and do our best to get through. And yeah, look, of course, it was a shame to finish my time at Quins in empty stadiums. But I got luckily the club allowed my family to come and watch and stuff like that, which was extremely special. And yeah, it was difficult not to share it with the people who had supported me for so many years.
At least you got your family there. That was the main thing. I just thought, like, you made so many appearances, you did so much for it, and then, like, obviously because it was televised, and you see it, I'm like, there's something missing. Go and just lift the restrictions just for that game.
Yeah, look, playing in empty stadiums wasn't good, because you play for the fans. That's what it's about. You go there and they bring you that joy, that excitement. And games were definitely not the same. The intensity wasn't there. Of course, you tried. You tried and you did your best. And all players in all sports were doing were the best, but it wasn't the same. And I think you can admit that. But you did what you had to do. And you tried to get yourself there as best as possible. And you wanted to win as much as possible, but you probably just weren't quite what you normally are. So yeah, it was difficult, but it was a tough time for all. At least we still got to work and do what we loved doing, which was important at that stage.
Yeah, absolutely. I did find it funny though during the whole season, not just for yourself, but every time, because there was no crowd, you would hear all the swear words that every rugby player says, and you've got like former players on commentary saying, "We apologise for the language." I'm like, you've probably said that as well, or worse. So
yeah, well, exactly. And I think some people sometimes they want to see the warts and all, don't they, and those kind of behind the scenes, actually what the pitch is like. And I think then you actually heard the collisions, you heard the kind of heavy breathing, because
yeah,
I think a lot of the time people see sport and they just don't think they're people, almost think people are robots, expendable, whatever it be like that, and you don't actually know that that's a human person.
Yeah.
And then you kind of see the interactions, and I think it definitely shows that side of it.
Yeah, I think the eye opener, like you said, the tackles, some of them had almost like a slapping sound to it, and it's horrific. And it makes you think, like, wait, when I'm playing, is that what, like, my parents and my family here when I'm playing rugby, or it's a proper eye opener. It's very strange. We have got a question from Harv, the beloved Quins fan from the show. He has asked, who is his favourite Quin to have a drink with, train and play with? And I'm guessing they could all be different answers, but
yeah. So what? Train, drink,
and play.
I mean, I think you look at two who are Joe Marler and Danny Kerr are both brilliant. You normally have a good night out with the pair of them, but also they train hard, they enjoy themselves, and I think we've been through a lot together in playing terms and training, whatever else. Yeah, so I'd say them. I'd say never do tackling practice with Joe Marler. I remember I'd always want to do some extras after, and I picked him out because we were playing against a big 8. I couldn't remember who it was, and he had a certain kind of bumping technique. So I was like, "Oh, Joe, I need you to run at me and try and sit me down, basically." And he did it the first one, and I was just stuck on the floor. He bounced me and basically run over. I couldn't get up. I just completely done my back, and I think that was the last time I tackled him or attempted to tackle him. So yeah, maybe not a good one to train with.
So we'll drink with Joe, we'll train with Danny, and we'll play with the pair of them. There
Exactly.
You go. There you go. Perfect. Is Danny Kerr a pretty boy, though? Does he care about his looks?
He looks a good boy. He's a handsome man. But no, he's tough, Danny. He's a tough guy. Physical guy. And I mean, he's 35, 36 now, and he's still going incredibly strong. So
yeah,
yes,
like a fine wine.
Delivering, which is great.
Like a fine wine, as I say.
Exactly.
We're going to move on to a different part of the show now. This is getting to know Chris Robshaw as a person and not so much a rugby player. There's some rugby questions sprinkled out, but it's more about you. So, cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Favourite post-match drink?
You know what? Before I have anything, I'd probably have a can of Coke. In the change room, when most guys having beers, I probably normally have like a can of Coke.
That's fair. And then, what's your social drink?
I have a lager top. I like.
Any specific lager or just any?
Nah, any half decent one.
Fair. I like how you said half decent because there are some proper stinker ones out there.
Yeah, true.
Sunset or sunrise?
Sunset. I think especially in San Diego, every night you would have an incredible sunset, kind of over the water. Yeah, it was beautiful.
Don't get the sunsets over here, really.
Not like that, no.
No, you see some of the nice.
I mean, to be fair, since I've been back, I've seen a lot of sun, more than I thought I would.
You came back for the heat wave. You came back in the right time. So
yeah, exactly, yeah.
Now you've been over to San Diego. Is that a heat wave?
It is a heat wave, yeah, for sure. In San Diego, it's always sunny, but it's never this hot.
Oh,
it's probably between 15 and 25 every day, but it's every day it's sunny like that.
Yeah.
It's just not. You get heat waves over there, but not. Well, I've probably had 2 in my whole time where it's proper hot. The rest is, yeah, that kind of temperature.
Ah, okay, fair enough. Favorite comfort food?
Favorite comfort food? What, a meal?
Meal, snack, does it anything?
What do I have? You know, I used to love a Chinese. Like after a game, I would love to get a good Chinese. Yeah, that'd be one.
What's your go-to Chinese meal then?
Probably the same as everyone else: crispy beef and sweet and sour chicken.
So that sounds good. You're making me hungry now. Favorite pizza topping?
Pepperoni.
Solid choice. Does pineapple belong on pizza?
I would never get it now.
Yes, we've finally got one. Everyone keeps saying, yeah, it does, and we have to try it. No. Chris Robshaw says no, so we're saying no. Do you have any tattoos?
No.
Would you ever get a tattoo?
Probably not, to be honest.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Favorite film?
Favorite film? Snatch.
Oh, classic. What a film.
Very good, isn't it?
Was not expecting that, but I rate that. Favorite song?
Favorite song? I like Ed Sheeran. In America, I listen to a lot of Fleetwood Mac. I like a lot of Fleetwood Mac. I wouldn't know what song is what, but that'd be my favorite artist at the moment.
That's fair. And again, another solid choice. Can't go wrong with a bit of Fleetwood Mac and Ed Sheeran. Maybe that collab would happen one day. Who knows?
Maybe.
He collabs with everyone, so why not? One thing that you have to do, but you hate doing it.
That I have to do it. I hate doing it. Probably change my baby's nappy.
Yes, as a dad, I can agree with that one. Yeah. Nothing worse.
I wouldn't say it's anyone's favourite job, is it? But yeah, it's got to be done.
I think away from parenting, mine just going food shopping. I absolutely hate going to a supermarket.
No, I don't mind a supermarket. I quite like it.
I try and stay in the car as best I can. As long as I can, I'll just stay here. Or I've got a phone call to make. I just don't want to go in. I don't know what it is, but no. Toughest opponent, both team and player.
Wales was always tough playing them, or South Africa and New Zealand. They were always obviously big ones. Club wise, Sarries were always tough. Northampton were good. Opponent individuals, I mean, some of the ones we probably named already.
Yeah.
There was a South African number 8 called Pierce Spies as well. Fantastic player, so quick, powerful. Bismarck du Plessis, again, phenomenal player. You look at McCaw as well, Pocock, his ability to get over the ball. I mean, I've got a huge list.
Good. I like it. We could even do a dream like Chris Robshaw's Dream 15. If you could rattle the names off.
What now?
If you'd like, go for it, yeah.
Oh, Dream 15. What, played with or played against, or just anyone?
Anyone you like. You're our guest. You can pick and choose.
I'd probably go Marla Lucid. Probably Bismarck du Plessis at hooker. Tight head. I'd have to go Dan Cole. He's my old roommate with England. I'd have to go him.
Fair enough.
Second row. I'll come back to second rows.
Okay. I'll
go flankers, McCaw and Dusatoir. 8, I'd go Vermeulen.
Yep.
9, I'd go probably Aaron Smith. 10. I'll go Faz Farrell. 12. I mean, Jamie Roberts, when he was on fire, was phenomenal and so hard to stop. 13, I'd go probably Manu.
Oh,
I mean, when he's at his peak, there's worldwide. I don't think anyone better. Back three will be a tough one. Probably Habana.
Oh,
one wing. And then the back three. Probably the other two, probably some of the Kiwis. I don't know which one because there's so many phenomenal players. I might even put Bowden Barrett at 15.
Okay. Yeah, he plays 15, so that counts.
And then the other wing, I'm not sure. Second rows, I'd probably go to Toje. And I probably can't go Ed Smith as well. That's probably just too big. But yeah, maybe someone like Ed Smith. And the other winger, I'm trying to think who played against me with the All Blacks. Someone like Israel Dag or someone like that. I mean, there are so many, yeah. But that was just quickly off the top of my head. I'd have to think properly. But
that was a solid team, and good luck to anyone trying to come up against that. I do like that. Biggest inspiration and why?
Probably my mum. Again, unfortunately, my dad passed when I was very young, when I was about 5. So yeah, she gave us all the opportunities we could and helped us really. Gave us her work ethic and supported us when we wanted to try things, where we wanted to actually. I remember asking her where I was in family photos when we were kids, and she was like, "Are you off playing rugby then?" And I mean, that's how long this journey's been going. It's not just been a get to 20 and it all kind of kicks off. It's the time before that as well.
Yeah, that's fair. And we all love our mums. Good answer. I love that. Hobbies, you kind of already done it. Hobbies away from rugby.
Hobbies, like I said, I enjoy my golf. I don't really do too much at the end at the moment. Again, with a young child into into the world, kind of hobbies and other bits, go out the window for a little bit until they get to 7 o'clock and they go to sleep.
Yes.
But I'm loving dad life, and kind of coming to terms with that and the different stages that they go through. And yeah, it's been brilliant so far.
How old is your little one?
He's 15 months.
You've got a teething phase and all that, or have you?
Yeah, we've unfortunately just had it, and he's just started nursery, so he's been sick all the time, unfortunately. But
Yeah.
He's over it now, he's over this stage for sure.
There's more to come, trust me. Carter's 2.5 and keeps me on my toes.
Yeah, I've got no doubt about that.
In a good way. Like we all love our kids, but there's times I'm just like, just go to sleep.
Yes, for sure.
Or if you could bottle their energy, you'd be a billionaire.
Well, yeah.
Your England cap or Quins Premiership title, one has to go. And I'm sorry for being brutal.
Jeez. You know what? I honestly don't know. Probably my Quins. Probably Quins, yeah. I mean,
the Chris Robshaw bar is now shut. They're not interested anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to get rid of either.
No, of course. It's just a little trick I like to do.
Yeah, they're both. Yeah, the thought of that would be pretty devastating.
Fair enough. Is there any perks of being captain except for being called Christopher by Nigel Owens?
No, I think that's it. You know what? With England, actually, I used to, when I was captain, because you'd always go to the hotel. We kind of travelled on a Thursday or a Friday night, and if we played Six Nations or whatever, we'd share rooms in the week, and then come the weekend we'd have our own room because people's families and all that would come, and I'd always get a nicer room. I would always get like a suite, and the guys would get a room, and some of them were. I remember I had a suite in South Africa once, and it was bigger than my house at the time. I think it was phenomenal. So yeah, the guys would always come over. We'd watch matches, whoever was playing the night before and all that. But yeah, that was a nice perk. Bar the Christmas.
Captain Suite, I like that. Final question. What would you like to be remembered for? One thing you'd like to be remembered for?
Yeah. I don't know. I think just kind of giving us all for the club, giving us all for the country when playing as well, and that's what you can do. You can look back on your time, and there are some good things you did, some bad things, all this kind of stuff, and it balances out. But as long as you left it all out there, I think that's what's important.
Yeah, perfect. Chris Robshaw gave it us all. Perfect. You absolutely smashed it. Chris, thank you so much for coming on and chatting and being our first guest of season 3. You're our first ever Harlequin. You're our first England international. You've just taken first all the time.
I'm glad it was nice and smooth and yeah, very enjoyable.
Oh, thank you very much, and just cannot thank you enough for the incredible opportunity.
An absolute pleasure. Hope your baby sleeps well tonight.
Same to you too. He should do. He's been out all day in the fresh air, so the fresh air should get to him. So
yeah, it does the trick, doesn't it? Right.
It's a magic trick. I don't know how, but yeah. This has been the final whistle with Chris Robshaw. We'll see you next time.